The presenting sponsor of Moon Tower Soccer is FVF Law.
To find out what makes FVF a different kind of injury law firm, you can visit fvf.law.
Hello friends, thanks for listening to Moon Tower Soccer. This week, we're going to review Austin FC's victory over the LA Galaxy. We'll discuss the MLS All-Star Week festivities. We will preview the match against DC United coming up this weekend, and we'll cover some other Austin FC news, including a few more transfer rumors. My name's Landon Cottom, and I'm joined this week, not by Jeremiah Bentley, but once again by Mike Crignola. Mike, good to see you, bud.
Good to see you, Landon. Really excited to play Jeremiah Bentley, and so I would like to say, hey, everybody, I'm Jeremiah Bentley.
Mike, we got to see each other in person yesterday, which doesn't happen as often as I would like.
Yeah.
I was getting into town a little bit late, so we went together to the All-Star Soccer celebration down at Auditorium Shores, but you went to a lot of stuff yesterday.
Yeah, we were busy.
In official and unofficial kind of All-Star Week festivities. So, catch us up on what all you saw yesterday.
Yeah, first off, I wanted to thank you for letting me be on the show again. Landon, I did do, like you mentioned, and I trimmed back the mustache. I tried to draw less attention to myself. I am following a keep the mohawk for the whole summer commitment, and so I couldn't cut that off, but I hope the tamed mustache is allowing me back into your good graces a little bit more.
It also looks like the mohawk is kind of brushed a little more clean as well, which I very much appreciate because, as I stated last week, that's kind of my thing. So I really appreciate the effort. I'm
doing my best. I just want to stay on your good side. And so in order to do that, I made sure that I went out and experienced as much as I could as the unofficial sideline reporter of Moon Tower Soccer for Soccer Celebration Saturday. We went to the Domain Northside and we ate free MLS themed donuts from the Salty. We drank free coffee. We saw a giant MLS soccer ball. We got reports from someone that isn't me, actually, that touched the soccer ball. I will not rat them out on the show because they
was that not
also
allowed?
Yeah, no. They were also yelled at by security for touching it. But the report is that it felt like a dodgeball. I had assumed it would feel like Bounce House. I was wrong. It had that same textury quality to it as a dodgeball might.
Interesting. I'm wondering if this is a one-of-one creation or if that's a ball that they reskin for various things and some company owns it and rents it out to events.
Ooh, well, now I'm curious. Yeah. We'll have to see if it makes an appearance at the All-Star Skills Challenge or the game on Tuesday or Wednesday.
How could they implement that into a skill challenge?
You could do I was just thinking of impossible things that you could do with that giant ball, right? Like a nutmeg challenge where everyone loses the whole time.
What if it was just both teams start at midfield and you just try to push it to your goal line? Like
in the video game Fall Guys?
Yes.
Yeah. That game was very popular during pandemic. I'm sure people were late enough now that it's a nice callback. I think they should do that.
I'm putting my money on Sergio Ramos to win this one.
I did want to shout out the Austin community though, because the signing event for Brad Stuver and Nico Esteves at the Domain was packed. Sometimes you go to these events and the signings at Q2 Stadium for players, player appearances can be hit or miss sometimes, right? Depending on the time of day or whatever. This was scheduled at a really people-friendly time, right? It was from 1 to 3 in the afternoon, and there was a line all the way down the block the entire time, to the point that they had to get a security guard to stand at the back of the line after they had decided this is how many people it'll be until 3:00.
Franklin's
turn people
barbecue
away.
style.
Yeah. They didn't have a sign to hang on someone's neck that said, all sold out. But that was the vibe, and it was awesome to see.
Yeah, Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that there's a player on the roster more deserving than Brad Stuver for an honor like that, right? And for the respect of the community, the way that they showed out for him yesterday. So.
Oh, absolutely. And you talked about the big crowd. We went to the soccer celebration down at Auditorium Shores. I was surprised by the crowd there.
Yeah, it was like a whole thing, a whole turnout.
I said that to somebody and they're like, well, it's free. And I was like, but the club does free stuff all the time that people don't come to.
Yeah.
And my guess is they must have just been spending a bit more on marketing for this and like getting it into a bit more of the traditional media, putting out, maybe they put in the Statesman, maybe they were actually running it outside of their normal channels, because there was a big crowd at the concert yesterday. There was just way more people than I thought was going to be there. What was your overall impression of the soccer celebration event?
Yeah, the brand activation soccer celebration brought to you by Coca-Cola and AT&T and Continental Tire and Home Depot and Caterpillar.
Caterpillar for some reason.
The construction company, not the animal. Like there was just a lot going on that like corporate sponsors were out in full effect, but like the vibe was super good. Like everybody seemed to be having a good time. Clint Dempsey was there, which is a way cooler guest than the previously like mentioned Kobe Jones. And I only say that because I grew up watching Kobe Jones like crush the New England Revolution a lot. And so that guy's like bottom of my list and Clint Dempsey is like top of my list. But yeah, it was really, really fun. I thought it was super cool. I was sad to have gotten there too late to watch Ilya play barefoot soccer with a bunch of kids. But that was like such a highlight video of my social scrolling here. So thanks for putting that on the Moon Tower IG.
Yeah, of course. Ilya was there playing in that youth game. Gallagher and Heinz Ike were there at like a signing photo op thing. But we saw Diego Rubio. He seemed to just be there hanging out. I don't think he was there working. I think he just took the family out and was just enjoying the Saturday
celebrating soccer. Yeah,
which is cool. But yeah, I mean, I think my cynical mind was triggering a little too hard to fully enjoy it because of all the corporate sponsoriness of it. But like you said, everyone there seemed to be having a good time. We ate those the Bun B Trill burgers, which were pretty good.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
Saw some Group Love was the band.
Yep.
They were fine. I didn't love them. They were good at playing music. I didn't love the music, but they were good at it.
Yeah, you group liked them, would you say?
Exactly. But let's go through what else is going to be coming up this week. And we're actually going to release this episode earlier than normal because of this All-Star week. So I'm planning on putting this out early Monday morning instead of early Tuesday morning because stuff starts on Monday. So let's just kind of go through day by day here.
Okay.
As far as like what else is happening. So we're recording this Sunday night. There's another soccer celebration day down at Auditorium Shores. If you're hearing this, you already missed it. So we're not going to talk about that one.
Yeah. You're not hearing us talk about it because we're missing it to record this for you.
That's
You're
right.
welcome.
So skipping to Monday, we have a Verde All Day event at Hop Squad. I don't know all the details. Do you know any more details about this or just that that's happening at some point?
I know it's at Hop Squad. I know it is starting before the MLS Next All-Star Game. So I believe the plan is to have people show up around 6:00. And I know that it is put together by Verde All Day, Otra Por Favor, and We Are Austin TV. And that there will be both local and national guests from the soccer media landscape at the event.
Yeah, so that should be fun. I think you and I are both planning on stopping by there before going to the next event we're going to talk about, which is the MLS Next All-Star Game. MLS Next is the academy system, essentially. So this will be academy players from MLS and then some of the non-MLS teams that also play in the MLS Next League. That's at 7:30 at Palmer Field. Austin FC is going to have 2 players representing Austin on these teams. One of them is Nico Arisizabal, 17-year-old goalkeeper. He was the goalkeeper who won the GA Cup a couple of years back with the U15 team. And then Christian Ayala, who is a 16-year-old. I believe he was the captain of the U16s this most current season. So we'll get to see those two play. I'm excited about this one. I know you are too, Mike.
Yeah.
Just
so stoked for this.
To be able to like watch these Austin kids, but then also see some of these other young prospects who will very likely be playing in MLS in the next few years. Not all of them, of course, but some of them will be. And it'll be really cool to be able to say like, hey, I saw them back when.
Yeah. One thing I noticed you didn't mention, Landon, is the Dick Sports Bino Avery Dennison collab event that is happening at the Kramer Lane Dick Sporting Goods, where Diego Luna, Hani Mukhtar, and Owen Wolff and Sam Surridge will be signing autographs from 2 to 5 p.m. on Monday.
Oh man, I want to go get Diego Luna's autograph.
I just want to bring him a coffee. You know, like I think that'd be so fun. We can both twirl our mustache just a little bit and like that'll be the picture. But yeah, Bino is sharing it as come flick it with us at Dick's, which like I don't know if you need to bleep any of that, but like
I'm not going to bleep it, but I'm also not going to repeat it. Going back to the MLS Next All-Star Game, I believe Owen Wolff is going to be there doing a meet and greet leading up to that from 6:30 to 7:30. There's also, as like Mike just said, there's a lot of other stuff that the league is putting on, that other folks are putting on. Liga MX is doing some stuff as well. So these are kind of like the high points. If you want to find other stuff, Verde All Day put out kind of a comprehensive list. The club has been putting out lists of things going on. So check out there. We're just kind of hitting our personal highlights here.
Landon, I am sad that the MLS Next All-Star Game is at the same time as the $1,000 1v1 tourney that is happening at the Vanta rooftop, where they are looking for, and I quote, Austin's most viral all-star event. So if you've got like one-on-one soccer skills and you like are just like looking to make some money, that's a place where you could go and do that. Send us the clips, I guess.
I really hate the use of the word viral in that context when it's not following the word go. Like to go viral means something, but to call something like to use it as an adjective. There's one of our neighbors made us dinner and she was like, I'm bringing this recipe that's called viral corn salad. I'm like, oh, what?
Well, so you have to wait 3 or 4 days to pass it, is what they mean.
It's extremely good, but apparently, I think it's a TikTok trend or something, so that's the name it got. But it's unsettling. All right, let's move to Tuesday. So the first event on my radar, I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff, is the Kickback Live at Haymaker. Kickback might be something that you're unfamiliar with, and that is because it is a new thing that you probably haven't heard of yet. But this is Soccer Wise. So you've probably heard us talk about this Soccer Wise event that's going to be happening on Tuesday. They have recently joined forces and got some investment and are kind of expanding their network and going to be growing some shows. And this is kind of their kickoff event that they're doing. So David and Tom from Soccer Wise will be there, along with Susanna Fuller, formerly known as Susanna Collins, who I know you really like, Mike. I'm a big fan of her. Glad to see her getting back in the MLS game here. Jordan Angeli, who you've heard on various podcasts, probably. Heath Pierce.
Also is like, to me, honestly, real quick before we move on to the rest of the guest list, which is crazy. Susanna Fuller and Jordan Angeli had the two best MLS like organizational podcasts. Jordan was on the MLS Assist with Joe Lowry, where they would do a deep dive tactically into one game. And it was like brilliant. And I learned so much about soccer from that podcast. And then Susanna was on a show with Jillian Sakovitz called MLS The Call Up, where they would deep dive into one player a week. And I learned so much about individual players from that show. And it's a crime that neither of those shows exist anymore. Keep going with the list.
But they're going to be back on microphone. Jordan never really left, but Suzanne is
Right.
getting back on mic. Jordan's going to be on mic in this context a little bit more. Heath Pierce is joining them. We'll be doing some content for them, and then also some, I'll just say, special local guests. Maybe some of them are on this show right now.
Landon, you're doing a thing?
I think so. I'm not sure how much. I don't know that much about it, but I think the best ball league that Zach Graham organized, that includes David Goss from SoccerWise, is going to be involved in this for at least a portion of this show. So I'm planning on going there. I think they're starting the happy hour at like 4:30, and then they'll be hanging out, and then they're starting the show at 6. And Dani Pereira is going to be their first guest there.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into that later, but as far as we know, he's still here, and
He's
still be making that
scheduled to be
appearance.
there. Yeah, he's scheduled to be there on Tuesday.
I will then be leaving that event to go to Q2 for the All-Star Skills Challenge, which I know for me, and I think a lot of the people who have watched All-Star for the last few years and really pay attention, I think this is what a lot of sickos are really looking forward to. I know attendance is usually not great. There seem to still be a lot of tickets available for it, and it's cheap to get in. But for my money, I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to this event.
Yeah, I think this is the moment that, like, I know Steph is most excited about for the All-Star Week is the Skills Challenge. We're so lucky here in Austin that Brad Stuver will be competing in the Skills Challenge, because that means more time showing off our All-Star keeper, right?
Yeah, so he'll be in the Crossbar Challenge, which is kind of like the big finale to the whole thing, and they always let keepers take part in that. But he's also going to be doing the Cross and Volley Challenge, which I couldn't think of a better showcase of Brad Stuver's skills than this competition.
Yeah, he doesn't have to go out and clear out the ball. He can just focus on his shot stopping, which is great for us. He doesn't have to worry about like defenders screening him from being able to see the ball clearly. So I think he's going to be really, really good in this.
Yeah. That one's again at 8 p.m. at Q2.
I was saying to Steph that one of the things that bums me out the most about being there in person is that we're not going to be able to hear him be mic'd up, which they always do for the keepers in the shot stopping side of the Cross and Volley Challenge, is they always have that mic, and Brad talks. And I'm so excited to see, like, on the replay, the things that he's saying.
Yeah, I don't know if they still do this during the actual game, but the first year they did it, they had Brad Guzan mic'd up during the All-Star game. And he was talking, like, doing an interview with the broadcast crew while the game was going on. And so he would just have to duck out and start yelling at defenders. And I think he swore on air one time. I think they maybe cut that part out. But yeah, the mic'd up part will be fun to go back and rewatch for those of us in the stadium. Let's move on to Wednesday. This is the main event here. The All-Star game is that night at 8 p.m. at Q2, but there's another cool event happening 9 a.m. on Wednesday, which is the Special Olympics Unified All-Star game. That's 9 a.m. at Palmer Field. And Austin will have, I believe, 2 players participating in this game as well.
Yeah, I think that the unified teams are one of the most pure and fun ways to celebrate soccer. And I'm so glad to see that there's an MLS All-Star version of the unified teams. I think that's going to be really, really fun. If you have a schedule that allows you to get out to Palmer Field at 9 a.m. on a Wednesday, take advantage of that.
Yeah, and then the main event Wednesday night, 8 p.m. at Q2, MLS All-Stars versus Liga MX All-Stars. We've been talking about the event coming on the show, but we haven't talked about these rosters at all. Looking at the MLS roster, I would say it's probably a lower profile roster than what we've seen in most of the last few years, but
Landon,
I think it's a fun roster.
Lionel Messi is on this roster.
Yeah, but like
by all done, dog. Like that's it. He is the most famous soccer player on the planet.
fair enough. Fair point. Aside from him, there's a lot of guys that like most people, and I think some of these folks had to drop out and have been replaced with bigger names, but there's a lot of guys who were probably not going to be voted in and got put in by Nico or put in by the league, or were actually voted in because they're having great seasons that are not the most famous players, they're not the most high profile players, but they're good and they're having really good seasons. And I think that they'll probably take this seriously. Like a guy like Sebastian Berhalter, like he's going to try so hard in this game and have like want to win it so bad, as opposed to if you put Sergio Busquets in it. Like, yeah, Sergio Busquets is really good, but he could give two craps about this thing and isn't going to be working near as hard as Sebastian Berhalter is going to.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So I was looking at the 6 players that got added to the All-Star game, that list that came out last Tuesday. And what I noticed was that brings our roster total to 30. When you take out Patrick Adjaman, who was transferred out, and Brandon Vasquez, who went down with a season-ending injury. So I think they had always planned on adding 4 more, and then the next 2 were just kind of like injury substitutions or whatever. In the same way as just today, we got alerted that Kai Wagner will be joining instead of David DaCosta from Portland.
That one's a bummer to me. I was really looking forward to seeing DaCosta play in this context because he is a lot of fun.
He's so fun to watch. And I feel like we have plenty of guys in that defender list who can put in a cross.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Looking at the Liga MX All-Stars, a lot of guys from the Mexican national team, names that you'll recognize, but I think like the Lionel Messi size showstoppers, not to that level, but Sergio Ramos is now playing for Monterrey. And then James Rodriguez is playing at Club Leon.
Yep.
Those are the 2 biggest ones there. But there's lots of star power in CONCACAF terms anyway.
And I think Gilberto Mora is going to be so exciting to watch as a he just made his debut in the Gold Cup at 16. Like, that's super cool. And so this might be your last chance to see him in America before he goes to, I don't know, pick a European club who's going to pay way too much for him.
Yeah. And then also you have some players with MLS ties on this squad as well. And Alex Zendejas, who I think, is he an FC Dallas Academy kid?
I think so.
I kind of think he is, but I could be wrong. And then Brian Rodriguez, who used to play for LAFC, is now playing for Club America, and he was a coach's selection on this squad. So these games, all-star games in most American sports, are boring. I'm not going to say that the MLS All-Star game is the best game you're ever going to watch, because they are taking it a little bit easy. But in the years that this has been the matchup that MLS has played against the Liga MX team, these teams look like they want to win, which is refreshing in an all-star setting. That like there's some pride on the line here, and they are really going after it. And the games have been contentious and a little bit heated at times, which is really cool to see.
Yeah. I also think it's crazy that Paulinho is still playing and he's going to be here, and was surprised that he didn't make your list of star power guys. But maybe that's because I have a soft spot for all those like mid 2010s Tottenham Hotspur players.
Sergio Canales is kind of that for me on this Mexican squad, because when I first started watching soccer and watching Spanish soccer, he was like the young up and comer that they thought was gonna like be the next guy, and it kind of didn't work out. He ended up having a really good career still, but like they were talking about him as like, oh, he's just behind Messi and he's gonna be like the next big Spanish star.
Yeah. He was very popular with my fourth graders in Madrid in 2010. So, yeah.
Okay, anything else on All-Star, Mike, or are we ready to move on?
Yeah, no, I think the core thing that I want to call out is that Austin has, I think, done a really good job with the All-Star game, and like the front office even has done a good job with like doing after dark events at, iconic spots in Austin, Continental Club and Sea Boys, and the other one that I can never remember where it is, but like picking spots that represent the history of Austin music, I think is a cool move, right? And I'm just really proud of the way the whole spectacle has been handled so far.
Yeah, Austin's a town that knows how to throw events already, so it would be a shame if they didn't
right.
do a good job.
If we had done a bad job with this, it would have been like really embarrassing. And
Yeah.
I'm glad we haven't.
Yeah, but anyway, like I said, find that Verde All Day article. Find the resources that the club and the league are putting out. There's all kinds of stuff going on outside of what we just mentioned. So take a look at it. If any of it tickles your fancy, there's a little bit of everything for kind of whatever your interests are. But yeah, the ones that we just mentioned will definitely be at most or all of those. So be on the lookout for us and say hi. We are going to come back and talk about some transfer reports / rumors. We're also going to recap and analyze the LA Galaxy game, and then cover some other news and do a DC United preview. But first, we're going to take a quick break. Hang tight. We'll be right back.
No one is around.
Moon Tower Soccer is brought to you by our friends at FEF Law, the official injury lawyers of Austin FC.
FBF is a different kind of personal injury law firm dedicated to community, transparency, and client education. And they have their own podcast called Summary Judgment. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts.
You can go to FEF.law to find out what makes FEF a different kind of injury law firm and why understanding your legal options can dramatically change the outcome of a case. Once again, that's FEF.law. Amplify Credit Union is a member-owned financial cooperative that served the needs of Central Texans for over 5 decades. As a credit union, Amplify has no shareholders or parent companies. That means more of your money stays in the community.
Amplify has been the home of fee-free banking since 2022. Their free checking accounts come with 0 overdraft fees or minimum balance. That means Amplify's fee-free checking accounts help you get more mileage out from your everyday spending.
Amplify membership is open to any Texas resident. Learn to trust your bank again at Amplify Credit Union. To learn more and to register for free parking at the Amplify Esperanza branch on game day, go to www.goamplify.com/moontower-soccer.
Landon, I'm putting St. Blaine's hot sauce on everything I eat. It's a problem.
What's been your favorite so far?
Honestly, the Merida and garlic one is probably my favorite so far. And so the fact that we're giving it as part of our Patreon package is crazy because like it's so good.
Yes, very, very tasty.
The smokiness, the garlickiness, the spice, like it's not too hot, but it like adds a kick. Like, yeah, I'm just really, really loving it.
Yeah, very good stuff. If you want some St. Blaine's hot sauce, you can join our Patreon, like Mike said. If you already did that and you want more, you can go to stblaineshotsauce.com or find them on their social media where they'll be posting farmers market events. You can also just order it off the website. So it's very good stuff. Get some either through us or through them, however works best for you. But yeah,
the jalapeno crunch, I've been using just the oil from it to like fry stuff in, like pan fry it.
Oh, I didn't get that one. So I'm gonna have to put in an order for that one.
Yeah. The jalapeno crunch is really good.
Go to stblaineshotsauce.com. Get you some.
Is that the tagline?
Nope.
Is that your tagline?
Yep. All right, we are back. We're doing things a little bit out of order. Normally, this is where you would hear our big game breakdown, but we spent the whole first segment on All-Star Week stuff. This is some pretty big news So we're going to jump into some transfer news before we do the Galaxy game. So let's start there, Mike. We've got some updates on a couple of kind of ongoing ones that we've heard about, and then reports out of Serbia of a new one that we had not heard about until the other day. Let's start with that one. So this is Mateja Djordjevic. This is a 22-year-old Serbian center back. Doesn't turn 23 until January of 26, which would make him eligible for a U22 spot. He's currently playing in the Serbian top flight for TSC Bačka Topola.
Classic.
This is when I'm doing research on this kind of thing, Mike, I really have to kind of pump the brakes and keep myself from going down major rabbit holes of like, oh, where's Bačka Topola? What do they do there? What's the major industries there? How do you pronounce it? who's like, why isn't this guy playing every game? Who's this other guy that's taking minutes from him? Oh, he's a 32-year-old captain or whatever that can't stay out. Like, this is what I do, and I had to stop myself from doing too much of this today.
So what are the highlights?
I learned how to pronounce Bačka Topola.
Okay.
And it is the name of a town.
Yep.
It is, I don't know how they say the TSC part, but that part is written in English letters. Whereas,
it looks like it stands for Topolya Sport Club.
Yes, in
so
English.
It's English, more English, yeah.
Whereas the rest of it is usually written in Cyrillic, as is Djordjevic's name, which you'll see different spellings of it because it's just different approximations of how you would make those sounds in English, essentially.
I can't wait to see what the back of his jersey looks like.
So Djordjevic comes from the Partizan Belgrade Academy. That's one of the big teams in Serbia. Former Serbian youth international. Played for another team in Serbia. I can't remember who, but then signed for TSC and has been most of the time starter for them for the last 3 seasons or so, I think.
Yeah. Have you watched a poorly mixed European techno highlight package reel of Mateja yet?
Mike, of course I have.
And how hard did it slap?
It was good. It was a very good highlight reel, but I also went into Y Scout and watched a non-highlight reel and just watched like most of his actions from 4 or 5 games. I tried to pick the other top teams in the Serbian league, so it's a approximation of kind of the quality. Red Star is the biggest team there by far. They win every year. I'd say the quality of the Serbian league overall is probably worse than MLS, but at the top, like Red Star is probably better than most MLS teams. And then at the top, they're probably comparable with MLS teams. So I was trying to get a good eye for like who he's actually going against here. At TSC, he played often as one of the wide center backs in a back 3 and played on both sides. So seemed comfortable on either side, or as the right center back in a back 4. He is listed as 6'2" or 6'3", depending on where you look. I did not clock him as that big based on that highlight reel, probably the same one you watched, because he looks athletic, like he moves quite well.
He looks really smooth.
And so I kind of assumed he was just a smaller guy. And I think I told you that he looks a little bit like Heinz Eich, like the build of his body and kind of the way he moves feels a little bit like Heinz Eich, but he's like 1 or 2 inches taller than Heinz Eich and probably 20 or 30 pounds heavier than him.
I was going to say, all of these pictures make him look like if you slid the physicality slider for Heinz Eich, like 4 or 5 notches more.
Yeah, so he has the aggression you want in a center back when he goes in for tackles and stuff, but also has some nice finesse to his game. So he's pretty confident on the ball and able to take some positive touches in really tricky situations. We were talking about, I was kind of telling you about this yesterday, and I think you went and found the moment I was talking about in that highlight reel.
Yeah, there's a moment where the attacking player is like on a breakaway, and it is our guy and one other defender on the back line starting to like run backwards, and the attacking player takes a touch that is just like barely too heavy, and so Mateja steps up into it and like takes the ball, and in a situation where normally we would see an MLS center back either like dribble straight to like get out of the way or just boot it and clear it back into like where the most of his team is. And instead he just like chops the ball dead, and the attacker runs past him, and he's got all the time and space in the world on the ball to like figure out what the right thing to do is. It's a very cool move, Landon.
Yeah. And it's not just one thing he did one time. Like, that is in him. Like, that's the way he carries himself on the field. His teammates are not afraid to play him balls into tight spaces. They trust that he's going to be able to deal with it. And so, yeah, like, I think he's like a 22-year-old Brendan Heinzike, but bigger and probably already better on the ball. This is being reported from Mozart Sport. I think that's the same publication that initially reported the Bukhari stuff out of Serbia. So, and they're reporting it as being a done deal. So if that's to be trusted, then this seems like this is happening. Based on what I've seen, I'm into this move. I like this a lot.
Yeah, I think we have needed some center back depth, and we have certainly needed some center back youth. To get both of those at the same time is pretty cool. And I think while it feels weird to use special roster designations on center backs, this might be the right roster designation to do that with, right? That U22 spot can run you through year 25, at which point you kind of are expected to be performing at a level that like, okay, now we can pay you more.
And we've seen MLS teams bring in talented center backs of that age that have done really well, and then we're able to move them on.
Right.
And so at a rate that not necessarily U22 spots, but young center backs playing in the league, the hit rate feel, and this is just based on vibes, I don't have the numbers in front of me. It seems like the hit rate on that kind of player is a little bit better than, say, your striker or attacking mid U22s that teams have tried to bring in.
I do think from a construction standpoint, it's interesting that now we'll have a U22 defensive midfielder and a U22 center back. If that rumor for Tuti Andrade still comes out, now we're looking at all three positions up the middle of the pitch being U22 slots. How do you feel about that as a concept?
I mean, I don't really care too much. I think there's a few like routes you don't want to go. I don't want a DP center back. I don't want to use DP spots deeper in the field because I don't think you need to get really good players in this league. U22 though, it like, especially when you're using on those young players, it's a guy under contract. You can spend a little bit more and bring in guys who have real sell-on value and are probably good enough to compete and to contribute in this league right now. You're not spending $30 million. It's I think this is reported $1 million move, maybe a little over $1 million. That's too much for a regular 22-year-old center back, but if you can use that U22 on him, it's not taking as much of the cap space. I don't mind using those in these scenarios.
Yeah, because a U22 spot, right, will only hit your salary cap at $200,000, and the transfer fee is completely ignored in determining how much of that actually hits your roster. So if you spend, $1 million or £1 million or €1 million or whatever this currency is for this player, all that ultimately matters is what you're paying him. And then really only 200,000 of that actually hits the budget charge at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it makes it a really tasty proposition to then resell those players.
So one other thing, this is kind of adjacent to the rabbit holes I go down whenever we sign players from leagues or countries that I'm not as familiar with. I think one of the coolest things about this sport is bringing in players from different countries, different languages, different backgrounds, and them all coexisting on a soccer field. So this player's from Serbia. Uzuni is from Albania. Sabovic's family are ethnic Albanians. He didn't grow up there, but his family is Albanian. I don't want to get too much into it here. There's lots of resources online about the Serbian government's historical oppression and genocide in the former Yugoslavia, and not that long ago. This is in the 90s. So like the ripple effect continues here. If you've noticed, whenever Uzuni scores a goal or any team photo, he throws up this eagle symbol. That is the Albanian flag. That is a symbol of Albanian resilience and Kosovar resilience as well, and is often used to antagonize the Serbians.
Well, yeah, I think it's important to talk about it, right? And to call it out as a thing that we should be aware of as fans of this team, and like what it could mean, right? Especially if like fans start adopting the eagle celebration for Mirtu as he starts to score more, right? There is a chance that we may be signing a player who like may not take as kindly to that expression of pride, or may feel complicated about it anyway, right?
Yeah.
But also it seems like Mirtu as a guy maybe is aware of, that, because I'm sure we'll talk about it during the Galaxy recap, but he scored against a Serbian goalkeeper and he didn't do the eagle. And so I wonder, what that, like if there's anything to extrapolate out from that, or if that's just he doesn't want to necessarily restart a new curse after just breaking one situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's a good chance. I mean, a lot of these like young soccer players often don't care that much about this stuff and would prefer to stay out of politics. This is a little different just because of how recent some of this stuff is.
And how like ever present it like
right.
It kind of is in that region of the world, right?
Right, exactly. So like maybe Djordjevic is young enough and doesn't have an opinion or doesn't care that much, or is enlightened enough to say like, yeah, you're right, our government did some messed up stuff, and I don't think of you and I's relationship any different in that light. Who knows? But if he does have any opinion on it at all, like I could see there being a little bit of at least some conversation starters in the locker room.
Yeah, Nico's gonna have his hands full navigating geopolitics.
Yeah, the fact that he's a Serbian willing to come to the United States. I spent some time in Serbia. Me and Ashley did several years ago. They do not like Americans there. Again, for reasons we won't get into on this show, but the type of antagonism that we saw there towards Americans. People talk about like, oh, in Europe, yeah, they don't like Americans. This is a different level. And so if he's open-minded enough and saying like, yeah, I'll go live in America, like maybe that's a sign of a step in the right direction.
Landon, I'm gonna step this podcast in a direction here and ask you about another guy who might be trying to come live in America. Do we know anything more about the rumored Palacios move?
Yeah, so Cheeky Palacios, we've talked about this, I think, a few weeks in a row now. the last reports I'm seeing out of Brazil are saying that like the length of the loan is still being finalized, but they're expecting it to get done. Who knows when that happens? The window officially opens on the 24th. Is that right?
Yes.
So on Thursday. The fact that I mean, we talked about on the last show that I see signing a third center back or signing a third left back as a sign that like most of these moves aren't really for this year. The fact that the deal's not done and he's not already in town and ready to start training soon, I think further bolsters that viewpoint of like, if this were a make a move now to make this team as good as we can make them, you'd think they'd be trying to get it done ASAP and get him in town and get him playing as soon as he can. That's not really what it looks like is happening here.
Yeah, I want him to be healthy so bad.
Yeah.
And also come here because he is so good. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Although we got some news over the past week or so that seems like we might be able to pay for a $3 million transfer.
Yeah, maybe. This was kind of a roller coaster ride since the last show that we did not talk about on the last show. And like the state of things has changed quite a bit since then. So where should we start here? We're talking about Dani Pereira.
Yeah, it's important first, I think, to kind of give some background to this move, maybe. That, like, the report is Dani Pereira is being looked at and linked strongly to a move to Coventry City in the championship of the English
second division.
Yeah. And he is like, he has been a target of this club in the past.
He confirmed that to We Are Austin TV, saying they were looking at me.
Was that 2023, 2024?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
So. I think it was 23 when that interview came out. But he said that due to his legal status and he was working on getting his green card, he decided he wanted to stay and see that process out and decided not to go.
And if you remember, there was also a rumor in the offseason of 24 that Dani was being looked at by or linked to move to LAFC, but that Roto had said his price is $4 million.
Yeah, I don't buy that number.
But if the reporting is true on this Coventry City move, that could be why that price was $4 million. Because he knew that's what he was going to get from Coventry. And so, like, if you want to move for him now, this is what it's going to cost. Otherwise, in July, I'm going to sell him for $4 million to Coventry.
So maybe it's less of negotiating for $4 million in GAM, which is impossible to do. It was more of I'm selling him for $4 million. If you can find $4 million in GAM somewhere, come talk to me. Otherwise, F off.
That's what it, like, looking at the total window of this Dani Pereira saga, that's what it seems like to me, right? Is Roto's like, I know I can get $3 million in GAM plus $1 million from Coventry. So in order to beat that, you're going to have to give me $4 million in GAM for me to sell you, like, for me to sell you my player and make you stronger.
Yeah. Again, if these reports are accurate,
sure.
We'll see. Anyway, that was the beginning of the week. A few days after that, we get a strange tweet from Tom Bogert. And it just says...
so in the middle, before Tom Bogert's tweet, there was a tweet that said, confirmed, Dani Pereira has been sold.
That was... So, yeah, the initial report I saw was Verde Nation posted it. They often, like, aggregating reports from elsewhere. This one didn't have it linked anywhere else, as if this was their reporting. And then an outlet in England said it was confirmed that it's happening. Tom Bogert then comes back maybe later that day or the next day with a tweet that says, sources, : A report suggesting Dani Pereira is about to leave Austin FC for Coventry City is not true. The specificity of the wording here is kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Define about to leave, please.
Define
Like
all
this
of
week?
these words. Define all of these words. About to leave. Does that mean he is leaving, just not now?
Right.
Does it mean he is leaving now, but not to Coventry City? Like,
yeah.
It's
someone else. Does it mean someone else is going to Coventry City?
Yeah. Tom doesn't do this very often, though. Like, he often reports what he knows. And if he doesn't know it, he just doesn't get involved.
Yeah.
And so I'm very curious what's happening in the background of like where the initial report came from. Who did Tom get in contact with that was then trying to squash those rumors? Or is it someone in the Austin camp trying to turn the screws to get more money out of someone else? Like,
I hope not.
Or is it just made up? Is it just not true at all? Like, all of these things are on the table and all of them seem equally likely to me.
Yeah, it's a wild time right now. Cause like on the one hand, we have to acknowledge the fact that Dani Pereira is like one of the most popular players in Austin FC. Like so many people's favorite player, so many people's favorite personality, right? I can tell you, I know we talked about it on Swoon Tower, but like for folks who don't listen, he's a major part of why we started Swoon Tower. His social media like life was so unhinged that we had to find an outlet to talk about it. And so to see the rumor that he might be leaving is like it's a marked change for Austin, I think, where we've had players who were beloved get shipped out, right? And it was devastating to a certain segment of the fan base. We've had players who wanted to leave and like we helped them do that. I think this is maybe the first player that would be like a win for the player, a win for the club, ultimately a win for the fans of that player. But like in the meantime, really sad.
Yeah, absolutely. The loss will be big, but one thing I was thinking of is this will be the first time it seems like he'll move eventually, probably, whether or not this report's true or not. But if he does, it would be the first time an Austin player went to somewhere that is definitively bigger and better and like taking a step toward like the next big step in their career.
Yeah.
Everyone else that has moved on, I think, has gone to we kind of wanted a lot of them to go, right? Like, we didn't want them to stay here anymore.
Were you about to call River Plate a smaller club than Austin FC?
No, but I was going to say it's like
Let
a lot of
know.
like league-wise, it's like sideways moves.
Yeah.
It's like even Drusi's, the club is bigger, but playing in Argentina, like most Argentinian teams are not as good as most MLS teams.
Sure.
But like everyone else who's left has gone to smaller leagues, smaller teams, or at best sideways moves, or we wanted them to go and we're not sad to see them leave.
Yeah.
This would be a different thing. And I think that would be exciting to like wake up on Saturday or Sunday morning early to watch Dani Pereira play for Coventry or whoever else. That would be really cool and a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think ultimately like it would be a great move, and it helps the club sell itself and its ambition as being a place that young players can come and then move into the next phase of their careers.
And then a place that you can buy young players from as
Right.
well. Like it works both ways. Like it kind of primes that pump and keeps players coming in and then keeps clubs around the world being interested in the players that you're producing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm sure lots more will or will not come out about this in the coming weeks. Transfer window opens this week, so these incoming ones are probably going to start coming soon, and then the outgoing ones as well, because they're probably all tied together. We don't have that many roster spots, so the Dani Pereira one, the Hader Obrion, if there's anything to that, like maybe someone else that we're not even thinking of right now. The next couple of weeks are probably going to be entertaining, to say the least.
Yeah, this is always my most exciting, second most exciting time of the year.
All right, let's take another quick break, and then we'll come back and do LA Galaxy recap. We'll cover a few other pieces of Austin FC news, and then we will preview the DC United game. Hang tight, we'll be right back.
Moon Tower Soccer is brought to you by Sage Wilson Realty. The team is made up of Austin experts who are client-focused and have over 30 years of combined real estate experience. Our friends at Sage Wilson are giving away 2 tickets to an upcoming match. Fill out the form in the show notes for your chance to win.
If you or someone you know are in need of Sage Real Estate advice in Austin, talk to our friends at Sage Wilson Realty. Be sure to check them out online at sagewilson.com.
Our premier sponsor is McGuire Woods Consulting, helping clients in the public affairs space from lobbying at the local, statewide, and federal levels to digital and communications campaigns across the country.
McGuire Woods Consulting has offices in 10 MLS cities, but only supports this podcast. Why, Mike?
Because we beat the refs. And they like that about us.
Contact our friends at McGuire Woods Consulting at mwcllc.com for more information.
Landon, it really feels like we played against 2 opponents in Carson this week.
Yeah, it did a little bit, didn't it? And I am not, like, you know me. I think my reputation is such that I will give refs benefit of the doubt. I will say when I think they got it right.
What did they get right?
It wasn't what they got right or wrong. It was the standard of what was right or wrong seemed to shift wildly throughout the game. And then the last little stretch of the game, I thought he was just doing a bad job early in the game. Towards the end of the game, I was like, this is like, I became that guy saying like the refs want us to lose. And I'm normally not that guy, but that is truly how I felt towards the end of the game.
Welcome. After all we did for them too.
Wait, what did we do for them?
Austin has been in the refs, like had the refs back all through the work stoppage last year. You know, like we have fans who make them posters about like how much they love them, like, and this is what they do to repay us, Landon. It hurts. It feels personal.
Yeah. So let's get into this Galaxy game. Austin FC beats the LA Galaxy for the second time this season.
Let's go.
Thanks in part to Mirta Uzuni, who had a goal and an assist on the night, which earned him a spot in the MLS Team of the Match Day. This win puts them in 8th place in the West, but the teams in both leagues have played varying amounts of games. And so if you actually do it by points per game, it puts us in 7th place.
Real playoff spot.
Right, exactly. No play in in 7th. So it feels good for various reasons, which we'll get into, but it feels good to not be out of the playoffs. It feels good to beat the Galaxy. It feels good to win on the road. It feels good to see the team show some fight and some grit and be rewarded for it.
Yeah. One of the pregame narratives, I think, for this match, for me, was Guilherme Biru in the locker room playing on a loop in the back of my head. So excited to go into their house now after the last home game against the Galaxy, when Joseph Painsil was pointing at the 5 stars on his crest and like pointing at the fans and like making like knife across the throat gestures at them. Like, Landon, this has been spicy.
Yes, it has. And this game, I don't think this is as wild as the last one in LA, but it wasn't far off. It was a wild game for other reasons, but also it did get a little fiery between the players too.
Yeah, and I think if LA's fans were in attendance the way they usually are, it probably would have been spicier. But because they were taking a stance against LA Galaxy's front office, not supporting the community that they are in regards to the ICE raids that are happening in LA, the supporters groups are boycotting matches. And so I think a lot of the fire in the building was sucked out of that because of that, right? The crowd all night was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And so I think these are moments where you can really see what Ilya is talking about when he says that like fans need to believe that they have an outcome or have an impact on the outcome of games.
All right, let's dig into some of the details here. Let's start with the lineup. So Austin's lineup rolls out. We've got the standard back five: Stuver in goal, Dessler, Heinzike, Svatak, Biru across the back line. Then we got one of these lineups where it's hard to know exactly where everyone's going to be lined up, but I think we had a decent idea just because we've kind of seen this year before, where it was Sanchez and Pereira as your central midfielders, Bukhari on the right, Owen Wolff was the left wing here, and then Rubio and Uzuni, I think you could argue as dual strikers. I think Rubio is still operating more as a 10, but did step up onto that high line at times, but playing like 9, false 9, where Uzuni was just playing straight up 9 most of the time.
Yeah. To me, this was the classic Diego Rubio, I'm a 9.5 match, right? Which I think is a quote from his first season with us. Where do you see yourself? I play a 9.5.
Yeah. Well, I think some people were upset about this lineup. How did you feel about it when it came out? And then were your fears or confidences rewarded for when the game actually started?
Yeah, I had no idea what we would look like. But I have been like asking for Diego Rubio to play the 10 since the start of the season. And so I was hopeful that that would be the look that we would have. When it came out on paper, I was like, is this a 4-4-2? Like, are they going to play up top? Is Rubio just going to do the short guy version of a Brandon Vasquez impression? Because if so, that won't be great for us. And so once I started to see it in action, I felt pretty comfortable with what it looked like. And one thing that I knew for sure was that like Uzuni's work rate would look phenomenal up front with Diego.
Yeah, I mean, and if nothing else, like maybe this was the master plan from Nico and his staff of like, okay, this is what Galaxy's going to give us. I think these players in these spots will work best. But I think it could be as simple as Diego was really good in the last game playing in that 10 role. He's going to do it again. Like,
yeah,
like go out one more time and do that. Okay, we have one more spot open. Owen's our best player. Diego's earned that 10 spot, but we have to have Owen on the field. Put him on the left wing. It could be as simple as that.
Yeah, and I think I wonder as Owen Wolff, do you think you wonder like what do I need to do to like own a spot now? Or do you think you're like I think he's one of those classic I'm just here to help the team win kind of guys, but like I wonder if in the back of his head that's something that he thinks about.
I mean, it's not a thing that bothers me because he's not playing wildly differently when he shifts into these different areas. If anything, they're finding ways to get him more involved by moving him around, which is what they should be doing. Like Owen Wolff needs to be involved. And I'll get into this later on, but I kind of think having Rubio and Owen in those specific spots playing off of each other where their positions were a little bit dubious it played to our advantage in this game. And those two guys knew it and were using it to their advantage. So I think that maybe is evidence to say that this was an intentional thing. But as far as Owen's position, if they're playing Owen like, was it in 2023 when he was just playing as an out and out, like heels to the
wide
chalk
guy
winger,
yeah.
That's not where Owen should be. But that's not what he was doing in this game. And so when you're using him, like wherever you put him, as long as you're saying, go do Owen stuff, I don't think it matters where he starts as long as you're letting him do Owen stuff.
Yeah, and watching him and Rubio kind of like rotate through those attacking positions together was so fun all night.
And especially against like this Galaxy team, which they have their questionably defensive nights anyway. But then when you see their lineup, they have a midfield of Edwin Cerrillo, Diego Fagundes, and Marco Reus. And Fagundes has been playing as like the 8 in a double pivot. Cerrillo is a good defensive player. Those other two, like Fagundes will put in an effort to defend, but he's not that good at it. Royce is not even going to try. And
Right.
so I was looking at that with like matched up with Austin's lineup and saying, there's some real opportunities here, either with us moving the ball in possession or hitting them in transition moments. And I think that played out in certain moments as well, taking advantage of their weaknesses that they had on the field.
Yeah, and I think the LA Galaxy like backline additionally is an exploitable opportunity for players with work rates like Bukhari and Uzuni and like the constant motor that Owen Wolff has.
Yeah, absolutely. More on that later. A quick look at the stats. The possession ended up 58-42 in favor of the Galaxy. I'm curious how much of that was that last little stretch after Austin was already up. I would guess
Most
it
of it.
shifted the number quite a bit. I would guess it was fairly even throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, we ended the first half with 52% possession.
Okay.
And then, Owen scores that second goal in the 63rd, and you can see the momentum chart on FOTMob or wherever, like, just really change from there.
Yeah. XG was 2 to 1.36. That's factoring in a penalty, though. So fairly even on XG there as well. Galaxy had more shots. They won that stat 16-7. But as for shots on target, it was 5-4 in favor of Austin. So quality shots were actually getting shots away that went towards the goal. Austin actually ended up doing better on that one. The start of this match was strange. We get an Edwin, is that his name? That's his name, right?
Yes.
Okay. Evan Cerrillo yellow card in the 3rd minute. Probably should have gotten another one in a few minutes after that, but did not. We have a stoppage in play because Brad Stuver tells the ref that the balls are not fully inflated. We get
not just Brad Stuver saying this. The LA Galaxy players had thrown back a couple of balls before a throw in as well at this point. And then immediately in the post game, Greg Vanney was like, yeah, our players were also complaining about it. They just didn't stop the match, and Brad did. And that's fine.
Yeah, but they ended up not doing anything about it. They tested the balls. They were within the acceptable range. And so they just said, they're fine, play on. But that stopped the game for several minutes. Alexander Svatok tries to score a goal on Brad Stuver in the first handful of minutes as well. So eventful. We finally kind of get the ball moving a little bit. And our first positive action, it comes in the 12th minute. Bukhari receives the ball wide, beats 2 defenders to the end line, slots a pass through that corridor of uncertainty, kind of like right across the 6 where it's too far out for the keeper to fully come out, but not close enough to him to save it. Uzuni had made a near post run, and then Diego Rubio was on the backside, and he cuts back towards the penalty spot just as Bukhari's playing the ball. And so it goes in front of Uzuni and goes where Rubio would have been if he'd have made the back post run, but he didn't make that run. There's not necessarily like a right or wrong answer here. That is a common pattern where someone crashes the near post, the other one cuts back to the penalty spot. You see goals scored like that all the time. So I feel like it wasn't a wrong decision. They just made different decisions.
Yeah.
So that's a little frustrating to see them not on the same page there. But I do like Bukhari trying for finesse in that situation. How many times have we seen him get there and he just rips a ball either at goal as hard as he can or across the face of goal as hard as he can, and nobody can get a touch to it? This was a really well-placed, well-weighted ball in a very dangerous area, and they just happened to make different decisions at that time. So I like that decision there, and I think that's a good sign from Bukhari.
Yeah, he is really, really turning it on in the second half of the season here.
We get another long stoppage due to Aude, their left back, getting a head injury. He gets it on a collision with Ilie. The ball's in the air. Ilie goes up, gets a touch, and then they collide really hard.
Yeah.
They didn't penalize either of the players here. What do you think should have been the call here? Because I could see you calling it 50-50. Nobody had any intent. I could also see you saying, like, that's extremely dangerous from Aude to go into that challenge that way.
Yeah. I think if Aude doesn't already have a yellow card for a handball, this is absolutely a yellow. And I don't know that I agree with not giving a yellow here. I think this was an opportunity for the ref to like make a correct call that is like protective of the rest of the players on the field, and he does not do that.
Yeah. Austin gets their first goal in the 40th minute. It's a really confident play from Rubio and Uzuni here.
What a ball.
Rubio receives the ball between those two LA Galaxy central mids. He turns, pushes towards the goal. Uzuni spots that turn. He kind of stays a little bit wide, preparing his run. But as he's doing that, the Galaxy center backs turn and start retreating. Rubio clocks that, so he just plays the ball to Uzuni's feet, right on the heels of Maya Yoshida. Uzuni's touches here are what makes this so beautiful at this point. So a nice, brave ball from Rubio to play it so tight there. But then Uzuni's first touch, he keeps his momentum going forward and is able to like just move with the ball smoothly. His second touch is back behind Yoshida to Uzuni's left. It makes Yoshida turn really awkwardly, and it leaves him unable to put pressure on Uzuni's third touch, which is his shot. So the second touch spins Yoshida and sets himself up for the shot in the same touch. And it's just a really beautiful left-footed strike that curls past the keeper. The Galaxy defense was not good here, but regardless, it's just really refreshing to see offensive players for Austin FC play boldly and use like that confidence and that skill to punish a bad defense.
It's also awesome to see an Austin FC striker use their off foot to score a goal. Yeah, he does such a good job here. And I really love the goal. I was surprised that we didn't get a celebration, but if you listen to Swoon Tower, you know we rated it highly anyway because of the emotional weight of it.
In the 40, so we end up getting, I think, like 10 minutes of added time in the first, or maybe it was 8. It was a lot.
It was 8 minutes shown, right? And we ended up with 11.
That was the main action for the first half. So early in the second half, Gabriel Peck gets a chance. This is a long diagonal to him on the right-hand side. He's running at the back line. Austin and Biru specifically, in his matchups with Peck, has done a pretty good job of knowing he wants to cut in, get on his left foot, and smash it at goal. They've done a pretty good job of knowing that's what he's going to do and kind of ushering him to a spot where the shot, because he's going to get shots off. Like, he's just that good. You're not going to stop him from getting a shot off. But they've been at least getting him to a spot where Stuver knows where it's coming. And so, like, he's going to get the shot off, but he's going to take it from right here, from this angle, and Stuver's going to be able to block it. This one, we don't do a great job of that. So he cuts in. Ilie kind of steps to cut an angle, and then Owen kind of steps to cut an angle, and neither of them do a great job of what you want to do is like push him a little bit deeper to have to take that shot, make it a little further from goal, a little tougher of an angle, a little bit harder to kind of swirl your hips around and hit it with power. They don't do a great job here. He ends up with a shot from the top of the box pretty centrally, and it takes a deflection off of Svatok, which who knows, it's hard to see where the initial shot's going. Maybe that one's going in anyway. Bounces off of one of our defenders, goes off the far post, and then goes back across the face of goal. It has a bunch of spin on it, but luckily gets past the next post before spinning out of bounds. Otherwise, that could have turned back into the goal, really. really easily there. But that was one of the moments where we had a bit of a breakdown as far as like knowing what their strengths are and trying to take those away. And luckily we didn't get punished for it.
Yeah, I think the deflection here is the key to this. The behind the goal shot of this replay, Brad is in the perfect place to like make the play on this shot. And then the deflection just sends it so much further wide than he was expecting that he's like frozen from it. What a fortuitous bounce off that post.
Yeah. Austin goes up 2-0 in the 63rd minute. This goal is the last one. We talk about confidence and skill. This one is more about grit and fight.
Yeah.
And so it starts with, it's wide right. And I can't remember if we lose the ball and it's kind of a counter pressing moment or if we're just pressing high. But all of our players are kind of bunched together over on the right side of the field. And Svatak and Pereira kind of sandwich Nascimento, and Dani Pereira is able to kind of take the ball off of him without fouling, which is really good work from him. The ball then goes from Bukhari, drops it back to Svatak, plays inside to Owen. Owen turns, splits two defenders with a pass into the box for Uzuni. He may even meg Yoshida. It's hard to see on the angle there. But either way, really good forward pass into the box for Uzuni. Because of where everyone was, there's not many options inside. So Uzuni tries to just chip it back inside to Owen, who's running centrally and is going to continue his run. Zanka, their center back, deflects it. It gets popped up in the air, and he doesn't know where the ball is. Uzuni clocks it immediately, so he starts going for the ball and reacts quicker than their defenders do. Their defenders finally see it. Zanka and John Nelson, I think, are moving towards it, and it's like, okay, I'm going to clear it. No, I'm not. The keeper's coming. I'm going to let the keeper have it. And while they're trying to decide what to do, Uzuni is just working super hard, gets around Zanka, is able to reach his leg out, poke the ball back inside.
Yeah.
Right before Micevic, their keeper, gets there. And he was like inches from it, right? He was so close. Pokes it into space. Owen's able to pick up the loose ball and has the composure to pick up his head, find his spot, and slot it between two defenders who were, the keeper's out of the net, right? But there's still defenders near him, and he has to pick his spot there. He does a really good job of not panicking, not hitting it weird, and just puts it right past the last defender.
Yeah, this is one of those moments where Owen taking the time to like make the choice instead of reacting by instinct is actually really good. Right? Because like, if he just doesn't look and blasts it, there's a chance he doesn't hit it right. And instead he gets the shot off exactly where it needs to be. Yeah, really great work.
He also had Gallagher arriving at the far post at that point.
So glad he didn't pass.
And you could see him again, like Owen's tendencies, you could see him making that pass, which John would have had a really good chance there too. But like understanding the moment, understanding like where you are, where the defenders are, who you are, and like knowing that I can do this. Just give me 1 second. Okay, now I'm going to get it. Like, yeah, really good composure. Really great to just see Owen get rewarded by getting on the scoreline here.
Yeah. Do you think he did the calculation in his head of the XG based on where he was standing? It was like, oh, the only way I can get better XG is if I'm taking a penalty. I should shoot. Like,
yeah. So Galaxy start throwing numbers forward. There's some other chances we'll get into here in a little bit, but the next big play, 90 minutes plus 3. Joseph Paintsel wins.
Does he?
Scare quotes, a penalty.
Yeah, he's given.
A deep ball up the left for Paintsel in transition. Dessler is with him, marking him in the box. Paintsel gives him a little feint move with his shoulder, which gives him just enough space to kind of push past him to the end line. Dessler and Paintsel both have arms extended. On one of the replays, you can see both holding each other's shirts. Paintsel gets to the end line, kind of flicks the ball behind him and turns and is trying to recover the ball back behind him. The ref sees Dessler's closed fist around LA Galaxy jersey, gives the penalty. What's your take on this one? Because whenever you have a player's jersey in your hand like that, in the box, you're always running that risk. But
Yeah.
I feel like this one is a little more nuanced than that.
Because Paintsil also has a fistful of Dessler's jersey, this feels like you're both doing it. And we've seen this a gazillion times in this league, in this sport, that like
In this game.
sure, that does not get called, right? And to have it happen now in this moment feels like the ref is saying, well, they're the home team. Like, gotta give them one.
They have famous guys on their team.
You got to give them one. Did you know Beckham played here?
Yeah, it like in a vacuum, I see this play and I say that gets given sometimes. But in the context of this game, it felt just so incongruous with how a lot of the game was called, and then previous duels between these two players. They were going at each other all night. When Dessler overlapped a few times, Paintsil tracked back and won some balls off of him with some really strong shoulder-to-shoulder contact that in another context could be called a foul.
Yeah.
And
shoulder
it was
to
not.
blade contact.
It was not called a foul in that moment, yet this one is. And that's where it bothers me. Like, if he's calling light fouls all game, sure, call this one. I'm okay with that. It's not how this game was played, and it's not how it was called until this moment. And then some really strong challenges, yet anytime you look at Marco Royce wrong, that's the whistle blows. And that, yeah, I was really annoyed by that. So Paintsil sends Stuver the wrong way, 2-1, lots of added time again. Again, it's supposed to be 8 added minutes due to some stoppages and stuff. We end up playing almost 3 entire minutes past that initial 8. The penalty did happen in added time. Usually you see 1, maybe 2 minutes given for that, not 2 minutes and 45 seconds. There's another deep ball for Paintsil late on. And maybe the ref decided that Stuver hadn't looked like enough of a hero in this game, and so he was going to give him one more chance. And so deep ball for Paintsil. He's dipping, swiveling, diving, ducking, dodging, and Dessler staying with him, holding his own every step of the way. But Paintsil's able to whittle him down just enough to curl a shot from just inside the 18. He places it the only place where that ball was getting through. Like, gets it past Dessler. Heinz Eich was there slightly offset to try to be in the way of a shot to the far post. He curls it just around Dessler. It's falling onto that far post, likely going in, but best case scenario, it's hitting that post and maybe going off Stuver's back and into the goal.
It's a really good shot.
Stuver sees it through traffic, dives, pushes it off a frame. Gallagher recovers it, draws a foul, and that's the end of the game, 3 minutes after when it was supposed to end.
Yeah. Wild.
Reg, big hand.
Amen, brother. And I'm glad you play the Biru sound effect immediately after the end of the game, because as they're walking off the field, Greg Vanny is chirping at Biru. Greg Vanny is a grown adult man. Guilherme Biru went on vacation to Disney, and this is the guy that you're going to like start stuff with. But like Biru, to his credit this time, did not try to swing a punch at him. Instead, he pointed up at the scoreboard, gave him the keep yapping hands, and then like the cameras cut away before anything crazy happened.
That relationship is very funny and very strange to me, because it's not like Biru went over to the sideline and like Vanny is on the field in the middle of all the players. It's like nobody asked you to be there, and nobody asked you to go talk to Biru, a guy that you hate for whatever reason. Maybe for some good reasons, but it's just funny that like he seems to like be obsessed with him specifically.
Yeah. Rent free, baby. Like,
and then,
I can't wait for the oral history of their relationship like 10 years from now.
Biru, I think I've said this on the show before, but like if Austin has a stretch where they are good enough for the national media to pay attention to them, Biru is going to become like
Nuhu.
Like a pop icon in this league.
Yeah, he's going to become a new who, unless they like hold it against him for the Ricky Puig slide tackle, right? Like I don't
Nuhu
know.
threw a ball at a fan the other day.
You're right. And he flipped off the referee. You're right. There's all sorts of stuff that can happen. I mean, to be fair, Nuhu's flipping off the referee was him saying, "This is what the fan did to me." That's the defense that I have heard of that, like that still, which is amazing.
Oh man. I saw someone in LA posting photos in the tunnel afterwards where
Yeah,
the
there was
scrum
a
continued.
dust up.
Biru, of course, in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
What a character, man. He's great. Okay, so going into the end of this game, I'm going to try kind of a new structure for fitting in miscellaneous notes. And listeners, let us know if you can think of a better name. But it's essentially the structure is what I loved about the game, what I hated about the game, what I learned from the game.
Okay.
So let's start with what
We're doing a retro for all my project managers out here. We're doing a little retro on the game.
It's mostly a way for me to keep my thoughts organized and know where to put them and talk about the things that don't fit cleanly into the rest of the game. But let's start with what we loved. I loved Uzuni getting on the box score. He didn't celebrate. You said you had the theory about the Serbian goalkeeper. I don't think that's
don't think
what
that's
it was.
that?
It could have been. I think it's probably more of a, this is my fan fiction here. I don't have any inside info here, but it's a guy who has been underperforming, who feels like he's letting the fans down. He scores his goal. I think he's saying, okay, that's one.
A start.
I owe you a bunch more before I get to celebrate.
I think
that's the way I read it.
I like that. And I think that like there's like a determination in his not celebrating that goal that is like visible and palpable. So like I could feel that.
Yeah. I also loved how much everyone else celebrated for him.
Yeah.
And not just because we scored. They were like, the energy was aimed at him. And that was really lovely. Nico said in the post-game press conference that he thought that Uzuni's game today and his game against New England were very similar quality-wise. And the only difference is he didn't score in that one.
Yeah, I like that he answered the exact question in English and Spanish exactly the same way, just a little bit more colorfully in English.
Yeah, one of the quotes in English was, he was great. All of the other noise, all of the other criticism is bullshit, and it's people that know very little about soccer.
Savage.
I thought that was, I mean, I like him sticking up for his player. What do you think about the take that he played as good of a game in both of these? Because I kind of agree with him.
Yeah, I think he looked really, really good in New England, and I think against New England, and I think the only difference is that like Ivicic had a masterclass of a game, which is like so annoying because sometimes he'll do that. And yeah, like there were moments where Uzuni's finishing could have been, if he had finished with the same quality of shot as he had against LA, he probably scores 2 or 3. Yeah. But like every other thing was at the same level. The energy, the effort, the like getting open, the running behind, all of it looked the same.
Yeah, this kind of goes along with my rants against FOTMob scores, where if you bounce 2 balls off of a corpse and they go into the goal, the corpse is going to get an 8.9 rating on FOTMob. But if a guy plays a perfect game and just can't quite bend a ball into the goal, he might end with a 5. Who played a better game?
Well, like, the corpse had 2 goals, dog.
Exactly, and that's what everyone talks about.
Yo, you see that dead guy score 2? Team of the week, baby. Put him up there. Audi goals drive progress.
But yeah, I think that's what Nico's getting at. Is like, if you think scored equals he played good, didn't score equals he sucks, then I think that's who he's saying, people who know very little about soccer.
Yeah.
We also loved Diego Rubio playing as a 10 again. This one's one that you added, Mike.
Yeah, I think watching Diego like have time on the ball and be able to pick out passes in a way that a lot of our midfield just doesn't do is really, really cool. And the fact that he's been around for as long as he has, I feel like he has earned himself the confidence to take a risky pass or to take a pass that maybe doesn't have the same likelihood of continuing possession, and be like, yeah, but if I hit this right, we're going to score, like the pass to Uzuni, right? Because he could have easily sprayed the ball wide. We could have easily worked it to the end line and tried to cross it in, like the same pattern of play we see Austin do all the time.
Or played a less brave ball to Uzuni where he steps back and Yoshida has time to
Step up
recover and engage,
yeah.
and he doesn't get that shot away.
Yeah.
But I think also like one of the things that, like, as Rubio's gotten older, he's gotten slower. And as a 9, sometimes you have to create your space with that burst, with that speed. But when you're dropping in the midfield, it's more about being clever and finding the spots. And sure, the speed would be useful, but it's not 100% necessary to the things that he's done really well in these last 2 games.
Yeah, and I think you hear it in his post-game answers. He was asked about, like, how do you think you played? And he said, I think I did my job brilliantly, because my job is to get the ball to Buka or to Uzuni as quickly as possible in the best space as possible. And if I did that, I'm a success at my role on this team right now. And he did that all night. He looked really good.
And we referenced earlier the kind of the relationship between Rubio and Owen in this game. And the build up to Uzuni's goal was a good example of that rotation, where if you go back before Rubio receives the ball, Owen drops into that same space. Heinzike plays to him. Owen doesn't like what he sees. He drops it back to Heinzike, turns and runs vertically, like kind of to the left. Both of those Galaxy right side defenders clock him and kind of start retreating. Rubio was up on the back line. He sees Owen start moving. Rubio then just drops back into the exact same spot where Owen was, and Heinzike plays the ball there. And so those 2 guys kind of yo-yoing back into that spot, plays to the strengths of those 2 players, of both giving them both times in those half space pockets, but then also using like the defense's knowledge that they're both going to do that to exploit that space and have one go and then drop out and the other one fill the same pocket immediately after. Like, I think that is part of the evidence of it wasn't just, okay, we're going to play Rubio, where does Owen go? It's like, no, these 2 guys specifically in these spots could work well together.
Yeah. The other thing I loved in this game was the continuation of the LA Galaxy rivalry. I think we are finally starting to see a set of natural rivals for Austin FC develop, right? We know we're supposed to hate Houston. We know we're supposed to hate FC Dallas, right? But like, the club in playing games has determined that they hate San Jose and they hate LA. And I think that is awesome.
Yeah.
During a hangout for the Laundry Project, which is a really important thing for Brad Stuver and the Austin community and the Hope Project, we were talking a little bit about, asking Brad, like, what do you think is the spicier rivalry now between San Jose or LA? And he was saying that because San Jose has had such a massive roster turnover, it's absolutely the Galaxy. He's like, whatever it is, there's just something there in that rivalry between those players that they just don't like each other. And I think that's awesome.
I think it's especially awesome that it is LA. That, like, it would be less fun if it were like Kansas City, right?
I guess. I don't care. Because I'm not Texan. Like, I have no beef with California, right? I
don't have a beef with California writ large, and I think a lot of Texans don't either. I have a beef with people thinking they're better than you because they're from California.
Okay, I can see that. I personally hate the Galaxy.
I think that's written on the crest of the LA Galaxy, is we're better than you because we're from California.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hate the Galaxy because they think they own MLS, right? They think they are the gift to the league because we brought Beckham. I don't know if you knew this, right? And like that attitude of like, well, of course we're gonna win. We're the Galaxy, you know. Like they named themselves the Galaxy after Galacticos. Like, come on, you know. That's the stuff to me that makes this rivalry so good.
Okay, let's move on to what we hated.
Oof.
I put the TV production.
So bad.
I have a lot of beef with Apple TV production, which is actually MLS production. MLS is in charge of all of the production decisions. We're used to, like in the LA game specifically, we're used to seeing these beauty shots, and that is understandable to a degree. I don't like it still, but I understand it when there's extremely famous players on the field and you want to put those people's faces on TV to make your product look more attractive. That is not what was happening in this game. Instead, there were large stretches of live play missed due to the following: close-ups of coaches standing
Not even the
perfectly
coach.
still, doing nothing.
Sometimes not even their face, just their backs. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah. Full-length replays of marginally consequential moments in the game. Like, we almost missed... I think we missed a Galaxy shot because they were showing another Galaxy shot that like wasn't even on target maybe. And they showed the entire replay. Like, I get like cutaway 2.5 seconds, so show the shot, show the save, but they showed the whole build up while the ball was in play. And then my favorite, the pièce de résistance here, like their masterpiece, 2 times they showed close-up shots of the substitution cards where they're saying, okay, this guy's coming out, this guy's coming in. While the ball was in play, they held that shot for 5, 6, 7 seconds. That is crazy.
The ball,
Like,
I don't know how the ball went from Mikovic on the back line for LA into our attacking third by LA. But I do know that Alexander Svatak was subbed off with a head injury during that time. Like, because all I saw was the concussion sub card.
Yeah.
And that was in the 85th minute of the match. Like, this was a very important time. Like, what are we doing?
I'm very curious, what led to this? Is it inexperienced production crews, or is it production crews who don't do soccer and don't know soccer? And they're saying like, well, they're not doing anything, so we don't need to show this part. It's like, no, this is what like soccer is. This is the doing part.
Yeah.
This is it. Like, this is part of it. And it feels like they don't take that part seriously. I think Lincoln Rose made a supercut of a single game a few years back, because he calls radio broadcasts off of the TV feed, and he made a supercut of all the times he didn't know what was going on because they weren't showing the ball in play. And it is absolutely insane, like in this sport.
Meanwhile, meanwhile, all these other leagues are opening up tactical cams for you to like choose as your viewing experience instead of the standard like TV broadcast, if that's what you want to do on, you know, these other platforms that are streaming these games. Like, part of why we're on Apple TV is for all this advanced technology. Like, come on. And I know that that's asking way too much, right? Because the other thing about the TV production that isn't noted here is the announcing is horrendous. We can't get players' names right. We can't identify players correctly. We don't know where they play on the field. We don't know what's happening to be able to describe it to the viewers at home. And it's infuriating. The number of times Brendan Heinzike was called John Gallagher or Guilherme Beer is like, it's insane. And I get that, like, from a talent perspective, you have an outsized number of people coming from LA or the surrounding area. And so they are going to be naturally more invested with the Galaxy. But those aren't problems that they have for these other teams that we're playing.
Yeah, and on the production standpoint, there is a way to do the thing they're trying to do. You can cut away to a close-up of the famous guy in the field. You can cut away to even that sub card if you want to. Do it for a second. Do it for half a second, and then go back to play. Like if you watch the big European leagues, that's what happens. They
Right.
do those things. They show close-ups. They don't miss the ball in play. And so there is a way to do the exact same thing they're trying to do, and they're just doing a really bad job of it. Okay.
Speaking of doing a really, really bad job. Sorry. Let me get the direct quote. Bad. Really bad. The referee.
This is a quote from Nico Esteves. And then he said, they overcomplicate the games. And he went on to say, like, this was an easy game to call, and they did a bad job of it. Austin gets 4 yellow cards in this game. I think most or all of them are fairly deserved. Maybe my memory's failing me on one, but again, it's the standard of like, if this is a yellow, this is a yellow.
Well, what would punching a guy be?
Yeah. Edwin Cerrillo gets his yellow, deserved. I don't remember what the first one's even for. The next one is like a dangerous tackle. That one's fine. He punches Uzuni in the back off the ball at one point. They reviewed it and said, that one's fine. And the punch was not, it didn't hurt him.
No, but it's not
still
allowed.
Like, yeah, it's not allowed. It's like if you the headbutt rule has always been a weird one to me, where it's like, if you actually headbutt someone, yes, you should get a red card. But they've taken it to the degree of like, if you touch anybody with your head or even move your head towards someone, that's also a red card. If that's the standard we're holding there, straight up punching someone in the shoulder should be a red card.
Yeah.
And they didn't even give a yellow. They didn't even do anything at all. They just said, nah, that's fine. And then again, talking about Marco Reus, like Dani Pereira touched Marco Reus's back one time. That's a foul. Of course it is, because he's Marco Reus. We have to protect him. But there's just so much of that in this game, and so much of that in a lot of games this year, where again, I don't think they're necessarily like, in other ones, they haven't hurt Austin's chances. Austin has hurt themselves more than the refs have, but it still makes the game worse to watch when the ref is influencing it so much and being so unpredictable with what they're going to call or not call.
I think those are the two biggest things that I like. My two biggest problems with Major League Soccer in 2025 are TV production and refereeing, and the fact that we're talking about them after what like was an awesome game for our team really sucks.
Okay, we need to go through these quickly. Next thing I hated was Svatak trying to play a pass into his own goal. We already talked about that a little bit. I also hate that Svatak had to be removed from the game for concussion protocol. And then
that he was removed.
Then was allowed to go back on the field and play for a few minutes, and then was pulled off again. Yeah. I don't know how that happened. Like who failed here? Because there's a very clear system in place here that he was allowed to go back on the field. He was clearly moving very strangely. Like he moved strangely when he took the contact and went down. He was moving strangely once he stood back up. And then whoever examined him, somebody said, yep, he's good. Send him back on. And then that became clearly untrue pretty soon, and they pulled him off the field again.
Yeah. Really disappointing.
Last thing, what I hated is Austin not killing the game. There's several chances where, had they been a bit more ruthless, finished a bit cleaner, they could have put this away much easier than it was. Instead, we ended up with very nervy moments with Galaxy throwing lots of numbers forward against our very tired legs. Uzuni, as good as he was, he had another chance that was maybe easier to finish than the one he finished, where Wolff received the ball wide on the right side, plays an early cross on the ground, and then Uzuni's run is so good. He just like sneaks up on Zanka, runs past him on the shoulder, gets to the ball first, cuts behind him on his plant foot, and then tries to shoot towards the far post on the ground with his left foot and just hits it too softly, and Mitrovic is able to save it. That's an easier finish than the one he scored. And so that's frustrating. Say he does that after also not finishing the one he did finish. This is another one of how many games we've seen this season. Yeah. Bukhari gets a chance late on where he's 1v1.5, where he's got a defender to his left, kind of forcing him to make a decision. He rips a shot and it just hits the keeper in the chest. A few moments like that where if we're a bit more clinical, a bit more ruthless, this game's 3-0. And like the last one doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And then what did we learn, Mike?
Yeah.
We maybe don't have a lot of time to spend on this one, but you had a note here.
Yeah, so I learned that LA Galaxy is playing 4D chess, and we need to start doing that. We need to start figuring out what our team needs. Do we need to underinflate the balls? Do we need to overwater the field? Because they're obviously trying to slow things down for old ass Marco Royce and old ass Maya Yoshida, right? Like they don't have the legs to keep up except in the front line. And so how do we start to do stuff like that in Austin for our team to make things better for us, right? Like, do we need to implement a slight curve to the pitch, or do we need to I don't know, like make the grass longer or shorter, or like what are the home?
I've told this story on the show before, but I think it's been several years. The groundskeeper at my high school football stadium would grow the grass longer in the corner of the field, like leading up to the end zone. And our kickoff taker knew that. And so he would kick it into that spot to have the ball just like die inbounds on the grass there. So it didn't go out for a touchback, but also wouldn't go out of bounds. And then we'd pin people back on like the 10-yard line pretty regularly because the grass was longer there. And
so like what zones on the field does Austin start to avoid so that we can grow the grass longer and slow the game down there, right? Or like, what are the things that we can start to do as fans to really start to like implement a home field advantage?
Fireworks at the Fairmont night before the game.
As long as it's during the legal times to launch fireworks in the city.
Sure. Yeah.
As for legal reasons, right?
Okay. Let's move on to our DC United preview very quickly. We're going a little long here. This is the third ever meeting between these two teams because DC's in the East. Austin has won the previous two meetings. This is the first time Austin will go back to Audi Field since the infamous Pollo match. You know the legend of the Pollo match, don't you, Mike?
Yeah, of course. Pollo's not allowed in the stadium, and then there's a gigantic scuffle between front office members, like a verbal scuffle, not a physical one. And finally, in the 80th minute, Pollo is freed.
And Austin scores 2 goals after, like as soon as Pollo is back in the stands to come back and win 3-2.
Yeah, incredible drama in Audi Field.
Ruben Gabriel, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Ruben Gabrielson scoring in the 90th minute to go ahead for the last one. Insane.
And
Absolutely
Danny Houston.
insane.
He scored in that game too.
So DC are currently 14th in the East on 19 points. They have this is a real number, a minus 25 goal differential. So
how did they get there?
They've scored 20 goals, which is, to be fair, 3 goals more than Austin has scored. They have given up 21 goals more than Austin has given up. 45 goals allowed, which is crazy.
That's a lot of goals, Landon.
On the goals for category, they'll be happy that Christian Benteke has been out a lot of the season with injuries. He started on Saturday and scored a goal on Saturday, so they'll be happy to have him back because he's been kind of all they've had going for them the last couple of years. Aaron Herrera got a double yellow on Saturday, so he's going to miss this one, although that might be a bad thing for Austin because he has been making some very questionable decisions at the back. You can probably find some highlights of how that went wrong for them over the last couple of weeks. On an Austin FC connection, Jared Stroud played for them. He was one of their more important players last season, and this year I'm not entirely sure what's happened. He's not been playing that much, mostly as a bench player subbing on.
It is his second year there, so people know who he is now.
Yeah, it seems to be a pattern. And then one other player of note, Gabriel Pirani, he came in as one of these like, oh, maybe this is going to be like the next big guy, and then kind of wasn't. I think he has 5 goals, 4 assists or something this year. 3 of those goals have come in the last 3 games. So he's not been amazing, but is playing a hot hand right now. And then Joao Peglo is their other, I think he's Brazilian. I'm not sure where he's from, but another guy they were expecting to be good. And I think he hasn't been great and then maybe missed some time with injury. All those guys are playing now and some of them in good form. So that's something to watch out for. From an Austin FC perspective, what's the rules about concussion? Could we expect Svatok to even realistically be back for this one?
I think there's a chance, but it's probably pretty tight. It looks,
There's like an amount of time without symptoms, right?
yeah.
And so it can be months or it could be days. It just kind of depends on what it is. Hopefully it's nothing serious and he can come back. If he can't go, it means starting Julio Cascante and having no center backs on the bench, right?
Yeah. It looks like at least 7 to 10 days is kind of the like standard expectation. And so there's a chance. Cross your fingers.
And then this is, tell me if I'm wrong about this. This is the first game Nicky Bolocco will be eligible to play in, correct?
That is correct.
Do we think we'll actually see him in this game?
I think Nicky Bolocco will get to be on the bench because otherwise we don't have enough players to fill out the bench.
Yeah, I'm not, he's certainly not going to start.
No.
I certainly don't think he'll play a lot of minutes, but I could see him being thrown in to either kill off a game or if we need an extra midfield or whatever and getting some version of garbage time minutes. But I wouldn't expect him to play a lot quite yet.
Yeah.
And then I think the biggest question is like, what does the front five look like? We've seen just this kind of unorthodox lineup work fairly well against the Galaxy. Will Robert Taylor finally get a start? Or are we going to see John Gallagher back up there? Like that's some of the big question marks here.
Why would you? It's not a question, Landon. Robert Taylor is never starting. He's been banished to the nether realms. I don't know what is going on.
I have a theory, and I feel like it's almost irresponsible to even say it into a microphone. But with the trade agreement to Miami had lots of escalators where it's like this amount up to this amount, depending on these criteria that he needs to meet, that none of those things are ever made public, right? We don't know what those are. What if one of those is starts in the 2025 season? And this plays into my theory that Roto doesn't really care about this year. And he's aiming everything at next year. So he's saying like, okay, we're not going to win anything this year anyway. Nico, don't start him however many games you need to in order for us to bump that price down. That gives us additional GAM to use in 2026. We can therefore be more competitive in 2026. And then you can play Robert Taylor all you want at that point. Okay.
Take off the tin hat and give me your boring but correct opinion now.
I mean, I kind of believe that take there.
Wow, I thought you were like doing a little bit.
No, I'm not trolling. I think that might be true.
Huh.
If it's not that, then there must be some weird stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, because he's clearly one of the best players at that position.
Yeah, I just assumed he was not performing as well in training. Like, to me, that is the boring but correct.
I'm gonna have to get an Allen Iverson soundbite on my board here.
Yeah,
talking about practice. What else do you have for this game?
I think that this is kind of another one of these, like, we need to start pulling some of these points from these teams that are sitting at the bottom of their conferences, whether it's East or West. And this one feels like
a real Andrew Wiebe bonus game.
Yeah. The definition of a bonus game is this one. So yeah, we got to have it.
Yeah. Lots of soft competition coming up. We need to take advantage. We need to win some of these points. Okay. I think that's everything. Before we wrap up, I would like to remind you to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Come find us on the internet, wherever you are on the internet. We'll be back next week to recap All-Star Week. We'll recap the DC United game. And then we will preview the match against Houston the following weekend. Until then, I'm Landon Cottom.
And I'm Mike Grignola.
We'll catch you next time.
When no one is around.
Think for nothing, you never.
La gente
Oh my God.
Zula Chupa Boom sauce.
Yeah.